Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So thank you very much for tuning in today. So today we are moving to a new topic. So we have completed the story of Daksha Yajna, the sacrifice performed by Daksha, and learned so many wonderful lessons from the past time. So Satish Prabhu, could you kindly put a message saying that the session has started?
Sure.
That would be greatly appreciated. Today, wonderful story in the month of Kartik. We will be discussing Dhruva Maharaj. So there are approximately 80 verses in this chapter, but it's in the story form. So I hope to finish this chapter today. So kindly bear with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruntam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So kindly raise your hand if you would like to read today, then I can pick your name accordingly. So Meena Jetani Mataji, Bhuvaneshwari, Satish Prabhu, 3 of them so far, and Aravind and Padma Mataji. Thank you very much, Matajis and Prabhujis. So let's begin with Meena Jetani Mataji. So I'll share the screen. So thoroughly enjoy today. So please be attentive, and I'm sure you'll be able to enjoy it very nicely. So if you can kindly read the first 5 verses, very small section. So Meena Mataji.
First 5 verses.
Yes, please. Just a short one.
Chapter 8. Okay. I have the book in front of me.
Can you see?
Yeah, I have the book also. I'll read from the book, okay?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, just bear with me one moment. Sorry about this. Got a little delay. Okay, first 5 chapters. Here we are. Okay, Dhruv, chapter 8, Dhruv Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumara sages headed by Sanakana as well as Narada, Ribhu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home but became Urdhva Reta or Naishthika Brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. Text 2. Another son of Lord Brahma was Irreligion, whose wife's name was Falsity. From their combination were born 2 demons named Damba or bluffing and Maya or cheating. These 2 demons were taken by a demon named Nritti, who had no children. Text 3. Maitreya told Vidura, O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and Nikriti, or cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha, anger, and Himsa, envy, and from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh speech. Text 4. O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech were born children named Mrityu, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination of Mrityu and Bhiti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell. Chapter 5. My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is a very short section here. So Maitreya, this is the discussion between Maitreya, sage Maitreya, and Vidura, Mahatma Vidura, great soul. So while discussing the dynasty of Swayambu Manu, he also discussed the other sons of Brahma. Very briefly here. Swayambhu Manu is also son of Brahma. So we have been discussing the dynasty of Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu had 3 daughters, 2 sons, 3 daughters, namely Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. So we discussed about these 3 daughters and their lineage as well in the previous chapters. We did not touch upon the sons of Swayambhu Manu. They are namely Uttanapada and Priyavrata. So we have been discussing mainly the Swayambhu Manu's lineage, but Maitreya very briefly touched here upon other sons of Brahma, not only Swayambhu Manu, just very briefly, like we know Kumaras, Narada, Rubhu, Hamsa, Haruni. These sons, they never got married. They are called Naishtika Brahmachari. Naishtika Brahmachari is celibate by birth itself. They never got married. However, there is one person he mentions here. There is another one son called Adharma, a religion. He's also son of Brahma. So he married to his own sister, named Mrisha or falsity. So irreligion, married, falsity. These are all personalities, by the way, remember? And when these brother and sister married, they gave birth to bluffing and illusion. Yeah. And they are brothers and sisters as well. And those brothers and sisters, they got married and they gave birth to greed and cunning. They are also brothers and sisters, greed and cunning. But they got married and they gave birth to anger and violence. Again, they are brothers and sisters. And they gave birth to death and fear. Again, they are brothers and sisters. And this way, they gave birth to excessive pain and hell. They're also brothers and sisters. So this is irreligion. And it is not a religious system. Having the marriage with the own sister is completely irreligious and unacceptable. And that's why you see that, various kinds of these are all unwanted things. They produced out of this inappropriate combination. So how come, Maitreya Muni offers benediction? In the 5th verse, there is a Palashruti. If one reads this lineage 3 times daily, which causes devastation or destruction, one will get piety and washes off his sinful contamination. Prabhupada writes in the purport, just by reading, you hate that. This description is purifying because by hearing about the cause of destruction, one feels hatred for them and avoid them, and thus advances in piety, cleansing the heart. So you get hatred for these things and make progress. So let's move on to the next section. Satish Prabhu, from 6 till 17, please.
Text 6. Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe to you the descendants of Swayambhu Manu, who was born of a part of a planetary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 7. Swayambhuva Manu had 2 sons by his wife Sata Rupa, and the names of the sons were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Because both of them were descendants of a planetary expansion of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe to maintain and protect the citizens. Text 8. King Uttanapada had two queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. Text 9. Once upon a time, King Uttanapada was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttama, placing him on his lap. Dhruva Maharaja was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king didn't very much welcome him. Text 10. While the child Dhruva Maharaja was trying to get on the lap of his father, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride, she began to speak so as to be heard by the king himself. Text 11. Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaja, "My dear child, you don't deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you didn't take your birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap." Text 12. My dear child, you are unaware that you were born not of my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. Text 13. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, and then when you are favored by him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Text 14. The sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidura, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaja, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and didn't protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother." Text 15. When Dhruva Maharaja reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents, who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi, related everything in detail. Thus, Suniti also became greatly aggrieved. Text 16. This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief, she became just like a burnt leaf and so lamented. As she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. Text 17. She also was breathing very heavily, and she didn't know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain." Hare Krishna. You want me to continue, Prabhu?
No, that's fine. Thank you, Prabhu. So, as I mentioned earlier, so we are back to the dynasty of Swayambu Manu. Swayambu Manu and Shatarupa, his wife, had 3 daughters and 2 sons. So 3 daughters, lineage of 3 daughters we discussed in the previous chapters. And here, so our Maitreya then started discussing about the lineage of Swayambu Manu's sons. He had 2 sons. These 2 sons are Priyavrata and Uttanapada. They are actually the plenary expansion of the Lord himself. So that's why they're quite powerful. They were able to rule entire Bhumandala. As I mentioned many times, we are living in a fraction of entire Bhumandala. There is a lot. There is much more in Bhumandala. So they were able to rule because they were expansions of the Lord, plenary expansion. Actually, the eldest was Priyavrata, and but however, rather than discussing about Priyavrata, Maitreya started talking about Uttanapada because he was very much inclined to narrate the wonderful story of Dhruva Maharaj. So he rushed a little bit. So that's why he's focusing on Uttanapada. So Priyavrata, he didn't want to, So I think he went to the forest, and that's why Uttanapada took the throne. King Uttanapada had two queens, Suniti and Surichi. Suniti is the eldest, and Surichi is the younger wife. So this king had, favoritism towards Surichi. He used to love Surichi more, the younger wife, more than Suniti. Suniti had one son. Surichi also had one son. Suniti's son is Dhruva Maharaj, and Surichi's son was Uttama. So Dhruva Maharaj that time was 5-year-old, Suniti's son. As we discussed, he used to love only Surichi and neglect Suniti. He had that partiality. I beg your pardon. So one day, Dhruva wanted to, get onto the lap of his father, Uttanapad. That time, Uttanapad was sitting on the throne, and on the throne and one lap. So his co-brother was sitting. Uttama was sitting. So he also wanted to join and wanted to sit on his father's lap. However, he was not welcomed by the king. Although king, was affectionate to Dhruva, although he was not affectionate to Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, but he was affectionate to Dhruva, Prince Dhruva. But because he's scared of Surichi, his pet wife, so he did not welcome Dhruva. And seeing this, Surichi chastised Dhruva like anything. Come on, if you want to go and sit on your father's lap and get onto the throne, then you must take birth from my womb. You have taken birth from Suniti's womb. That's why you are completely unfit. So she was envious of Dhruva. How can an elderly person, a motherly person, speak such kind of harsh words to children? When you speak these kind of harsh words to the children, they remain in their heart for a longer time. So she was envious of Dhruva and also proud because she thought that she can control the king. King is under her control. So hence she spoke like that. And Dhruva became very, very angry. He was only 5-year-old. He sing like a snake and breathing excessively. So he left that place, went to see his mother Suniti, and she was also heard already by the palace workers and servants. So she already heard. So she was also upset, but what she can do. But there are wonderful lessons that we can learn from the life of Suniti, how she dealt with this situation. When you are humiliated, how do you deal that kind of situation? So she, so she spoke. She gave some instructions, and firstly, she said that do not wish ill fortune for others. Even when the others are inflicting pain on you, do not wish ill fortune for others. That is the first point she tells. If others inflict pain upon you, they will only suffer the reactions of their karma. It's a matter of time, but you do not wish. See how nicely she's educating Dhruva. And let's read the next section, Bhuneshwari Radha Mataji, from 17, or you can read again 17 to 23rd, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Text 17. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain." Text 18. Suniti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up." Text 19. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 20. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, pran. Text 21. Suniti informed her son, your grandfather, Swayambu Manu, executed great sacrifices with distribution of charity, and thereby, with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness, and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods. Text 22. My dear boy, you also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service, becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation. Just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, and without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service. Text 23. My dear Drew, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune, but the goddess of fortune herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord.
Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you.
In the previous section, actually, she said, Surichi said that, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, you must take birth. How do you take birth? You go and worship the Supreme Lord. And then indirectly, she indicated you give up your body. Yes. And then take birth in my womb. So only when you worship enough the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you will take birth in my womb. So that means she is indirectly telling that you have to give up this body, die. So Suniti said the first point. Also, she was also very upset. Dhruva was definitely distressed with these harsh words. This is the behavior of any child is like that, but especially the Kshatriya, the administrative class, they're very, very, challenging, and they take these things to the heart, and they try and take revenge where possible. Brahmana nature is forgiving, completely forgiving, but Kshatriya is revenge. That is the Kshatriya spirit. And teach a lesson. That is also Kshatriya spirit. So she said, number one, do not wish ill fortune for others, for her. If she is talking ill about you, if anyone talks ill about you, they will inflict pain, they will experience the karma. And what the second point is, what Surichi, your stepmother said is not wrong. Actually, it is true. She said you must worship the Supreme Lord. Because by worshipping the Supreme Lord, you get whatever you want. Akamaha sarva kamo va moksha kama udarahi tivrena bhakti yogena yejeta purusham param. Whether one is full of desires or no desires or desiring for liberation, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, with intense practice. So not only if you see your great-grandfather Brahma, Brahma's son is Swayambu Manu, Swayambu Manu's son is Uttanapada. Uttanapada's two sons are Dhruva and Uttama. So your great-grandfather Brahma, he also worshipped Lord Krishna, and as a result of that, he was able to create this entire universe. And your Swayambhu Manu also worshipped. Many people worshipped and they achieved success. So she's true in one way that you should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and must please take shelter of him. He's like, I'm like one mother, small mother, but he's like, he's like, is equivalent to millions and trillions of mothers. He can show you the love and affection of so many mothers. So please, worship that Supreme Personality of Godhead with the determination. And Lakshmi Devi, she worships Lord Vishnu. What to speak of others? She doesn't want to give up the lotus feet of Lord Narayana in any time. So please go and worship the Supreme Lord. So three things. Number one is don't harm anyone. Don't wish any ill fortune to others. Number two is think that all these things that are coming due to past misdeeds. And thirdly, she was right in the sense that you go and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is how Suniti handled. What a clever personality she was. So when we have a problem, we try and solve in our own way. But these people, great people, they tolerate and they worship the Supreme Lord. If you see, these are the lessons when we come and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we should learn couple of lessons from these pastimes. And we should always ask the Lord, and give me the strength to cope these situations in the material world, and worship the Lord. Okay, so with that, we will move to the next section, that is from text 24 to 34. Padma Mataji, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 24. The great sage Maitreya continued, the instruction of Dhruva Maharaja's mother Suniti was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligence and fixed determination, he left his father's house. Text 25. The great sage Narada overheard this news, and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaja, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and, touching the boy's head with his all-virtuous hand, he spoke as follows. Text 26. How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him. Text 27. The great sage Narada told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor? Text 28. My dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of an illusionary energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. Text 29. The process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. Text 30. Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother, just to achieve the mercy of the Lord. But in my opinion, such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 31. Narada Muni continued, after trying this process for many, many births and remaining unattached to material contamination, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God realization. Text 32. For this reason, my dear boy, you should not endeavor for this. It will not be successful. It is better that you go home. When you are grown up, by the mercy of the Lord, you will get a chance for these mystic performances. At that time, you may execute this function. Text 33. One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. Text 34. Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate towards him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of the material world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Padma Mataji. So, following the instruction of his mother Suniti, Dhruva, 5-year-old boy, left the palace and heading towards forest to meditate upon Lord Vishnu. And he met on the way, he met Narada Muni. It is interesting. You can question how Narada knows about this. Narada, because is a pure devotee of the Lord, and is also like the Lord. He knows everyone's heart, or he was sent by the Lord himself. When you desire, please note this very important point. When you desire and determine to perform bhakti, execute bhakti, you will be guided. Krishna will send you a saintly person to you. That is the fact. Always. This is, I've seen in my life, and I've seen in many people's life, many devotees' life. But if you desire, you have to desire and have that determination. We have to have that, and Krishna will send. So Narada Muni was actually sent by Lord Vishnu himself. And for all of us also, sometimes you wonder, where do you get the spiritual master? Where do you get, where can I find the spiritual teacher? But if you every day just go and pray in front of your altar, just pray to the Lord, my Lord, I don't know, what is right, what is wrong, but I don't want to be cheated. Kindly guide me, kindly send, kindly show me the path, kindly send, kindly connect me to a saintly person. That you pray. Because of Krishna, we get spiritual master. Because of spiritual master, we get Krishna. Yeah, hope you understand that. So he just placed his hand on the head of this little boy Dhruva as a blessing, and then he said, "You're only a little boy. Come on, why are you taking these words of your stepmother so seriously? At this age, boys like you should be playing." And all this dissatisfaction is illusory energy of the Lord. It is just an illusion, and one should tolerate these one should tolerate the pains and the pleasures of this world. And also, if you are experiencing pain, that means we are killing our bad karma. By experiencing pain, we are nullifying our bad karma. By experiencing pleasure, we are nullifying our good karma. So don't worry, and you should be equiposed to these things. And if you are experiencing misery, it also means it is just because of your bad karma. Just see that way, your karmic reaction. And he also further said that no, you think it is going to be easy to worship the Supreme Lord? No, it is extremely difficult. Many people have taken in the past many lives, and still they were not successful in attaining the mercy of the Supreme Lord. How do you think that it would be possible for you? So he says, yeah, now you go, don't worry. And then when you grow a little bigger, then that time you think about it. So this is testing. Spiritual master tests you, tests your determination. Unless we are serious, what is the point of we are given an instruction? Even if I'm given an instruction, it will go on in vain if I'm not serious. So he was testing. This is a saintly person. Saintly person will always test. And then we'll move on to the next. Yes, so thank you, Prabhu, Satish Prabhu, for sharing that. And we'll back on to Meena Jatani Mataji. Are you there, Mataji?
Yes.
So we will go and read the next section. But I think I missed two important points here. I'll just read it out. I shared this screen. So these two are very important. One should try and keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way, able to cross over the darkness, So yeah, be equiposed. But another point here, the text 34 is a wonderful point. Every man should act like this. If we meet a person who is more qualified than us, we should be pleased. We should not become envy. I see a lot of people that when they see more advanced person or more qualified person, they become envious. We should not. If we meet such a person, we should be pleased, very happy. If we see a person who is less qualified than us, we should be compassionate. And thirdly, and if we meet an equal person, someone equal to us, we should make friendship with them. And basically this way we will curb this mentality of envying others or puffed up. In the material world, if someone is greater than you, if someone is greater than us, we become envious. If someone is less qualified than us, we become puffed up. So these can be curbed this way. So text 34 is a wonderful text that I've just posted in the congregation. Let me see, there's another comment. Mystic yoga plenary portion, these two words seen frequently used by Srila Prabhupada. Who is this? To me. Yeah, I'll explain those two, those little later. Okay. So let me carry on with the flow, and then I'll come back and explain those 2 points. Okay, so text 35 till
35.
35 till 62. 62.
Okay.
There you go. A long one for you.
Okay, thank you.
Lord Dhruva Maharaj's mercy upon you.
Yeah. Text 35. Dhruva Maharaj said, "My dear Lord Naradji, sorry, for a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart." Text 36. My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions. But it is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My mother Suruchi has pierced my heart with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instruction does not stand in my heart. Text 37. O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the 3 worlds by anyone, even by my fathers and grandfathers. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life. Text 38. My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instrument, the veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings. Text 39. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narad Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate toward him. And in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice. Text 40. The great sage Narad told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Text 41. Any person who desires the fruits of the 4 principles of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. Text 42. My dear boy, I therefore wish you all good fortune for you. I wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who always lives there. Text 43. Narad Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana, sitting place in a calm and quiet position. Text 44. After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually controlling the life air, the mind, and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 45. The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and he is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. Text 46. Narad Muni continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul. And anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. Text 47. The Lord is further described as having the mark of Srivatsa, or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person, he wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifest with 4 hands, which hold, beginning from the lower left hand, a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. Text 48. The entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with the Kaustubha jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments. Text 49. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind. Text 50. Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the whirl of the lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering. Text 51. The Lord is always smiling, and the devotee should constantly see the Lord in this form, as he looks very mercifully towards the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. Text 52. One who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and he does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. Text 53. O son of the king, now I shall speak unto you the mantra which is to be chanted with this process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Text 54. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12-syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. Text 55. One should worship the Lord by offering pure water, pure flour, garlands, fruits, flowers, and vegetables which are available in the forest, or by collecting newly grown grasses, small buds of flowers, or even the skin of trees, and if possible, by offering tulsi leaves, which are very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 56. It is possible to worship a form of the Lord made of physical elements such as earth, water, pulp, wood, and metal. In the forest, one can make a form with no more than earth and water and worship him according to the above principles. A devotee who has full control over his self should be very sober and peaceful and must be satisfied simply with eating whatever fruits and vegetables are available in the forest. Text 57. My dear Dhruva, besides worshipping the deity and chanting the mantra 3 times a day, you should meditate upon the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different incarnations as exhibited by his supreme will and personal potencies. Text 58. One should follow in the footsteps of previous devotees regarding how to worship the Supreme Lord with the prescribed paraphernalia, or one should offer worship within the heart by reciting the mantra to the personality of Godhead, who is non different from the mantra. Text 59 and 60. Anyone who thus engages in the devotional service of the Lord seriously and sincerely with his mind, words, and body, and who is fixed in the activities of the prescribed devotional methods, is blessed by the Lord according to his desire. If a devotee desires material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation from the material world, he is awarded these results. Text 61. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. Text 62. When Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, was thus advised by the great sage Narada, he circumambulated Narada, his spiritual master, and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvan, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of Lord Krishna and which is therefore especially auspicious. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So long section here. Right. So Narada Muni said that you better go home and be peaceful. When you grow, when you are a little older, then come and practice. But however, Dhruva Maharaj said that the philosophy doesn't work for me. I'm a Kshatriya boy, and what he says. I'm actually inflicted by these harsh words of my step mother. So I'm not able to accept. I have some desires that I want to fulfill. I want to be more exalted than that of my great grandfather. Who is his great grandfather? Lord Brahma. So he wanted to be more exalted, or he wanted a kingdom which is more, or which is greater than, which is exalted than his great grandfather, Lord Brahma. And so please kindly show me the path. And then Narada started speaking. And yes, I recommended the same process that your mother had mentioned, worshipping of the Supreme Lord. By worshipping Lord Vishnu, one can get whatever the type of benediction. As we said, any type of benediction can be obtained. So now you go to Madhuvan. Madhuvan is one of the 12 forests in Vrindavan, go to the bank of river Yamuna, and there is a forest called Madhuvan, take bath 3 times, and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worship Ashtanga Yoga, practice Ashtanga Yoga. That was a long time, it was Satya Yoga. And Dhruva Maharaj practiced Yoga Mishra Bhakti. He did both devotional service, which is mixed with Ashtanga Yoga. And so he was asked to do these breathing exercises, which are called, Puraka, Kumbhaka, Rechaka. You inhale and hold it for some time and then exhale. This is also process. So pranayam process was recommended, and he was asked to meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord, not just shunya. People recommend some, you just meditate, close your eyes, meditate on nothing. It was not like that. You see, he was asked to meditate on the form of the Lord, and beautiful form was described here, and he has beautiful nose and eyebrows, beautiful forehead, and he's ever youthful and very has attractive limbs, and his lips and eyes are very charming. So like that is full form. The description of the Lord's form for meditation has been mentioned. Like while meditating, you meditate on different limbs and different parts of the different bodily parts of the Lord. And so if you do this way, then you will be able to achieve. And then he said that I'm giving you one mantra, a special mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And this is a secret mantra, so you should utter while practicing your meditation, Ashtanga Yoga. It is like, he was a Kshatriya, but he had received the order from Narada Muni. He can chant the mantra. And the other thing is, until we receive the mantra from a bona fide person, we will never have its effectiveness. So that's why the mantra should be received from a saintly person in the disciplic succession. Otherwise, it will not have any effect, or it will not have its full effect, put it that way. And he uttered the mantra actually in his right here. And he also said that, in the forest, make the form of the Lord using the mud, according to time, place, circumstances. So, just with some mix with water and mud and make the form of the Lord, worship the Lord, offer some. It is specially mentioned Tulasi. If you read that, offer Tulasi leaves. Tulasi leaves are grown in Vrindavan. Vrunda literally means Tulasi. One means forest. A forest which is full of Tulasi plants is known as Vrindavan. Vrunda is one of the names of Tulasi. And so according to the time, place, and circumstance, you must worship. So that has been advised. And then, Dhruva Maharaj goes to the Madhuvan forest. Probably we'll have to stop there, but I can explain a little bit, and the next section is easier. And then, after Dhruva Maharaj went to Madhuvan forest, then Narada Muni goes and meets Dhruva Maharaj's father, Uttanapad. And Uttanapada was very, very repenting, and he regrets his unkind dealings with Dhruva, and he says that I'm very merciless, I'm cruel. How could I see my little son going to the forest? How can he survive? Animals may come and eat him, and he will not have any food, any bedding. He's a prince, mere prince, like he is a prince. So how can he survive in the forest? Then Narada Muni says, don't worry, he will create an history. He is such a great personality. Because of him, you will also become famous. So he will perform most difficult task that nobody had ever performed in the history. And then there is a wonderful, you know, purport. We will read that. It will take another 5 minutes, and we'll complete this chapter. So Narada Muni, what Dhruva was doing at Madhuvan is described here in text 71. So elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaja, having arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by great sage Narada, he engaged himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the basic point Prabhupada writes in this beautiful purport is that we can't just execute devotion as we like. This is another thing, people, you meet so many people, they think that is theirs is the right way. We should perform devotion, execute devotion, practice devotion according to the instructions set forth by the spiritual master. Then only we will receive a complete benefit. A spiritual master is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples. And if the disciples execute the order of spiritual master, that is the way of their perfection. So another beautiful point that we must execute in the way we have been instructed. And what did Dhruva Maharaj do? Just a few minutes. First month. So he was eating the fruits and berries once in 3 days. First month. Yeah. Prabhupada writes, don't worry, in ISKCON we can eat prasadam every day, 3 times a day, but we have to chant Hare Krishna mantra. First month, berries and fruits every 3 days. Second month, he was eating dry grass and leaves every 6 days. Third month, he was drinking only water in every 9 days, once in 9 days. And in the fourth month, he was just inhaling once in 12 days, breathing, taking air. That's it, no eating. And this way, in the 5th month, he became, expert in controlling all his senses, and he became a master of Ashtanga Yoga, great mystic yogi. So because he was practicing severe meditation, he became practically one with the Lord, because the Lord in his heart, he became one with the Lord in his weight, because he was fully focusing on the Lord. All his gates, all the 9 walls are closed. He was not taking anything at all after 5th month. So he became so heavy. He stood on one leg. Let me show just picture. One leg, and he was so heavy, and even Mother Earth was pushed a little bit, and everybody started suffocating because he closed his holes, and it also had an impact on others, and the demigods rushed to the Supreme Lord and mentioned about their problem, and the Lord said, don't worry, and this is because of Dhruva Maharaj. I will sort the issue out myself. So here are the couple of pictures. Hope you can see. So this is where Dhruva and Uttama. Dhruva was not welcome to sit on the lap of his father, and Surichi, his stepmother, was chastising him. On the way, Dhruva Maharaj met Narada Muni, and Narada blessed him. See, only with the saintly people, help of the saintly people, you achieve the God. On your own, you can't achieve. It's not possible. It's because of the saintly people. And then here, Dhruva Maharaj was fasting, practicing mystic yoga. So thus we will end chapter. I know Manjula Mata, you had one question. I'm happy to answer that. I have another meeting. I have to quickly go. So please, can you speak up?
Yes, we use the word plenary portion, that Swayambu's sons Uttanupad and Priyavartha plenary portions, and I've read this quite a few times.
Yeah, plenary portion means Amsha is a part. You know, there's a portion of the Lord. Amsha in Sanskrit, this is called Amsha, a portion of the Lord's energy. Yeah,
okay.
it's not full. It's not full, complete, but a portion of the Lord's energy or Lord's potency.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And the other was and the other was mystic yoga. I always thought mystic yoga was Ashtanga yoga, but I get confused because sometimes it's used interchangeably, I think, as well.
Sometimes, because these books are also written for the people of Western world, so mystic yoga was used. But yes, mystic yoga is Ashtanga yoga. You're right. Dhruva Maharaj performed that Ashtanga yoga.
So it is Ashtanga yoga then.
Yeah, it is Ashtanga yoga.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. That's all. Thank you.
But even in Ashtanga yoga, remember this point that normal meditation, people say that you have to meditate on shunya, nothing. But it's not like that. If you see this in Ashtanga yoga, they meditate on the form of the Lord. They focus on the different bodily parts. Yeah, when they meditate, they focus on the Lord's beautiful face, beautiful like that. They slowly come down to the lotus feet, or from the lotus feet they go up. Yeah, even in the meditation. Okay,
yes, thank you.
And if you have any question, I can only take next week. I'm sorry, got another meeting. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Hare Krishna, Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Thank you.